Shalom Shavua Tov, I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief brought to you by Lay of the Land, where we bring you those top stories making headlines in Israel. So let's dive right into it because we begin with a major story, one that we started talking about last week. And this is the big brewing issue of the Jewish Agency for Israel's operations in Russia. Last week, the Russian Justice Ministry made the ruling that the Jewish Agency for Israel, which is the body that is responsible for helping Jews to make aliyah or immigrate to Israel, they ruled that the Jewish Agency was to cease operations with immediate effect. Now, they are saying that the Jewish Agency is gathering data on Russian citizens illegally. Now, we want to stress that the Jewish Agency helps Jews make aliyah, helps Jews immigrate to Israel. And if there's any personal information that has been shared with the Jewish Agency, it is being done legally through legal challenges and channels and through permission with the parties involved. And these apply to Jews only. They do not gather data on any other citizens in Russia or in any other country. The Jewish Agency is an organization that has been in existence since before the modern establishment of the State of Israel, helping to facilitate that important aliyah or immigration. And there are Jewish Agency emissaries and officers in countries around the world where there are major Jewish communities. Now, in response to the growing crisis, the Prime Minister has put together a delegation of officials from Israel's Justice Ministry, Foreign Ministry, the Prime Minister's Office, and the Ministry of Immigration and Absorption. They have departed for Moscow and are due to meet with Russian officials today. Now, what is very, very interesting is that Israel doesn't see this as a legal issue. We see this as a diplomatic issue, and Prime Minister Lapid has commented that this could have serious effects on Russian-Israel relations. As we know, Israel and Russia have good relations, somewhat delicate at the moment because of Israel's outspoken support for Ukraine. However, as we've said numerous times on this particular show, the Russians have a presence, a military presence in Syria on our border, and when Israel conducts missions into Syria, we have to do so by informing Russian military officials on the ground. Now, in the past couple of weeks, we have seen an escalation in language coming from the Russians that is leading to some tensions. Just 2 weeks ago, they called for Israel to immediately stop any kind of missions in Syria to push back Iranian operatives. They say that it is putting civilians at risk. We will not comment on Russian actions in Ukraine at all. We also had that infamous spat with the Russian foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, where he justified the use of the word denazification in Ukraine as saying that some Jews are anti-Semites as well, and made allusions to Hitler. But this is not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the cessation of the important work of the Jewish Agency. At the moment, they are reporting they're still continuing with their work, because if they don't, the Russian Jewish community could very well be stranded in Russia without a means to make aliyah. Now, the Jerusalem Post earlier today reported that other Jewish organizations in Russia are reporting that they are also under scrutiny from the Justice Ministry there. However, which organizations, we don't know. Their identities have not been revealed. However, the Jewish Agency will have their day to discuss legal issues on the 28th of July. So we will keep you updated as to the developments on that side. In other news, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas met with Jordan's King Abdullah over the weekend. They discussed, amongst various issues, the status on the Temple Mount, as well as Jordan's support for the Palestinian people. The king reiterated his support for the Palestinian cause, and the two discussed the recent visit to the region by US President Biden. Now, what is interesting is that it is believed that Abbas is looking to other countries such as France and various others. Last week he met with French President Emmanuel Macron as a way to get other countries involved in possible negotiations with Israel, sidelining the Americans. Now, good news for motorists and Israeli consumers. Prime Minister Lapid announced earlier today that as of the 1st of August, we could see a decrease in the cost of fuel. Now, this is very important. I'm sure many of you around the world feel the impact of the rising cost of fuel, not just for travel purposes, but also when you hit those supermarkets. The Prime Minister said that the government is working hard to ensure that Israel copes with the rising cost of living, and said that the cost of fruits and vegetables are actually coming down. The government also announced that they're doing everything they can to ensure that the cost of bread does not go up. This has been impacted around the world due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Ukraine is a major global supplier of wheat. Now, if the Prime Minister could only address the housing issue in Israel, we would all be much happier. And on the subject of supermarkets, and you know we always try and end the Israel brief on a positive story, and today is no exception. Dutch retailer trade Spar supermarkets have announced that they are looking to enter the Israeli market. Now, the supermarket market is quite competitive, and many of you, especially you in South Africa, will be familiar with a friendly Spar wherever you are. So we look forward to welcoming more competition to our shores. And that brings us to the end of today's edition of the Israel Brief. Don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. We've got exciting articles up there about the Maccabea that was held recently, as well as the history of Ethiopian Jewry. And don't forget, you can check this all out on our Facebook page at Lottel Site. Like us, follow us, share us, you know what to do. Our YouTube channel is at The Israel Brief. If you are watching this, please click that red subscribe button so that we can get the news from Israel out to as many people as possible. And of course, we're on Twitter. Help drive up that Twitter traffic by clicking on our site at Lay of the Land 5 and following us there. And with that, I'm Rolene Marks. Thank you for watching. I'll be back with your Israel Brief tomorrow.